Hello, everyone. I hope all is well. I know all is well. There would be a better way to say it. Um, so let's just sit for a moment. What comes to mind today is heroes and villains. Heroes and villains. We love stories, and most stories have a hero, and most stories have a villain. Sometimes that villain isn't a person, it's a circumstance, it's a situation, it's an idea, it's a belief. But in every movie we see, there's the hero or heroes, and the villain or villains. In every book we read, it is that way too. And I would like to show how all stories are ultimately about you. You are the hero in the journey. Some of us have heard of the hero's journey. And in the hero's journey, there are different archetypes. And these archetypes symbolize the different phases that the hero goes through. I think they also symbolize the different phases that we go through in life. In my telling, however, there is only one hero and one villain. And the villain is not real. And neither is the hero, really. But this is the way we'll talk about things today. So, in our life, as we go from entry to exit, when we are born, there is no identification with anything. No identification of a me or a you, or any labels or discriminations of form, like trees and plants or cars. Those are conceptual ideas of a particular form. And there's no beliefs. There's no separation between what we are at birth and everything else. And as we experience life, the mind-body mechanism starts to discriminate. The mind-body mechanism is a mechanism that's run on fear. It is necessary for the survival of the separate form. Now, that's great and all. But when that natural instinct to jump out of the way of a snake on the path, or to quickly pull your hand away from something that is hot. Once it becomes conceptual, then we have a villain. The mind from that point on perceives errors or threats where threats and errors don't exist. And that mind, that mental yappering, is the villain. It creates a sense of separation from everything that isn't there when we're born. And as we conceptualize, as the mind conceptualizes the world more and more and more, there are more and more threats. And we no longer see reality. We no longer see things as they are. And so in the journey of the being, it is the hero's job, so to speak, to defeat the villain. The villain in this case is the self that the hero, you, identify as. That energetic constriction, we could say caused by the mind-body mechanism. However, these are just words and they're bullshit too. But it's a pointing to what the truth is. Truth for lack of a better word. Or a way out. An escape plan. And it's weird. The identifying as the thoughts and the feelings. We could say it starts with the conceptual I or me, separate from everything, and then the story kind of grows around that seed, idea, or belief. And we can see this everywhere. Fear in this particular form is highly organized and highly complicated. In my dog, it's fairly simple. Because, as far as I know, her brain doesn't process information the way ours do, or would seem to do. Now, in a fun way, as what you are, it's great to forget what you are and play this game of human, this game of separation. But part of the game is to defeat the hero, or the villain, and the hero, in a sense. So how do we go about doing this? Well, it's, kind of weird. Um, the villain is the separate self. It's everything that we identify as our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas, the body, the feelings. So, how can the self defeat the self? It seems there might be a way. It starts with the right, I won't say questions, but the right looking. When we come into the world, we're in awe of all the forms, the objects. It's all new. And we are immediately, or at some point, distracted from our beingness, from our non-separate, no self place. And in this distraction, at some point we forget where to look. We've been distracted for so long, we've forgotten our original place, home. Ultimately, all seeking, all attachment, whether it's, being right in an argument or trying to attain something outside of myself that gives me a sense of wholeness. That can be anything. That can be everything. It could be knowledge. It could be liberation and enlightenment itself. All the seeking is from separation. So ultimately, the hero wins when the seeking ceases. But when we've been seeking all our life, it's hard to do. And it's funny. Hide and go seek. We find the moment we stop seeking. And there's been many ways given throughout the years that may or may not lead to this ceasing of seeking, this ceasing of attaching the idea of a me to something else. And we can attach me to anything. My family, my car, my job, my girl, my wife, my children, my money, my beliefs, my likes, my dislikes, my religion, my God. And the word I think. Oh, that's another one I forgot to add. My thoughts, my feelings, my body, my race, my gender, my political views, my team. And now I. We attach I to things. I think. I feel. I'm in charge. I'm going to change the world. I'm going to make it a better place. And I'm not knocking any of that. I'm just using that as an example of how we attach the sense of self to things and how it comes about. If the hero wants to win, the hero has to take out the villain. But almost like in a movie, you know, the real hero, like you see one of those movies where the guy jumps on the grenade and saves all the people. And he's seen as a hero. But in saving the people from the villain, he dies too. And ultimately, that's got to happen if we want the truth. If we want to be alive while we're alive. I'm sitting in this little shed outside, and there's all these little flies. We have like a garden back here. There's all these flies that like to fly around. They're really cool. I don't know what kind of flies they are, but there's a lot of fruit trees here. So, and a lot of herbs like lavender and basil and oregano. And so these aromatic things seem to draw the flies during the warmer time of the year. It's really neat to watch the flies zooming around. So what's left when the hero and the villain dies? What was there when you came into this world? Nothing. Emptiness. Void. Rest. Peace. Maybe. Because even when the separate self is seen through, there's still life. Thoughts still occur. Feelings still occur. Death still occurs, physical death. Relationships still go along. Sometimes they don't work out. In America, you still have to pay the bills. Might be ways around that, but none of those seem real pleasing. But if they went that way, that'd be okay too. So, the way the hero wins is to look in the right direction again. To stop being distracted by all the forms and the circumstances and the situations out here. And to look inside. Look around. See what's going on in there. You know, when we're identified as the separate sense of self, false self, delusion, the thoughts and feelings happen and we react because we are fully identified as the character we are playing in the story. Full identification. Thought, feeling happens, reaction automatically. After a while, you get tired of being disconnected. You get tired of seeking. And as soon as you get tired, that's when you find. And which would you rather be? The lens of the camera or the photographer who uses the camera? Would you rather be the pencil that writes the poem or the writer? Would you rather be the software program or the programmer? Would you rather be mortal or immortal? We could go on like this. Would you rather suffer or not? And I'd like to throw in a little extra information to that one. If we identify as the separate self, as the delusional mind-body mechanism, we are in suffering. In it. And don't even know it. Just consider it to be normal. Just normal. Normal to be on an emotional roller coaster all the time. And it is pretty much normal. But if you're tired of suffering, stop. Stop. Stop doing it. Stop identifying. Is it that easy? It seems that in these talks, what comes through comes through. And if there's a questioning on your end, cool. Question the questions. Question me. Question everything I say. Question everything you say. Question everything you do. Question everything you think and feel. Question everything you believe. Question everything you think you know. Question questions. Question asking. Three good questions. Who am I? Where am I? And what's really going on here? Those are good questions. And I'm supposing that as soon as I said those, you're like, I'm so and so, whatever your name is. I'm in blah blah blah, whatever city. I'm a human on planet Earth. There's going to be answers. Those are the answers. Now question those answers. How did we come about those answers? The story of Joe, Bob, Susie, Jane, Jason, whoever didn't start until there was a name. Did you come into the world with that name? Don't think so. It was given to you. And what about planet Earth? Right? And human beings. Those are words created out of the mind to discriminate, to label things. It's not Earth. It's what it is. Can you just see it without labeling it? Can you see things and hear things without attaching to them? Meaning, ideas, and beliefs. Can you have feelings and thoughts without attaching to those? Without giving them any importance? Or anything else for that matter? Can you find that place of contentment that you are with everything going on? Does that mean that you need to go adjust your circumstances? If you're like me, you've been alive a while. How's that working out for you? Adjusting the circumstances, controlling and manipulating the situations to find some degree of comfort. How's that working out? How's that been working out for humanity for thousands of years? Have we really advanced? Or have our gadgets and our means and ways of doing the same old things just changed? Empires rise and fall from the same place. Well, guys, I've got to use the restroom. Nature calls. I've went far over my time. I hope they let me upload this to YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this stuff that comes out of this mouth. There's also a Facebook page. Um, there's an Instagram, and there's also a website. And they're all screaming at the wind. Screaming at the wind. Please join, please subscribe. I'll put more of this stuff out. Hopefully at some point we'll be doing some live stuff. And I'm looking for a new place to do another event, and that will be posted on the Facebook and the website at some point. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful existence. Bye now.